Hey, eighth grade. Welcome to Mr. Matt's first teaching video. Hope you guys are doing okay. Today, I want to review the box kind of strategy that we've been talking about. I'm going to slowly walk through each of the 4 steps, remind you of some of the clear details to make sure you do correct boxes. Maybe you had questions, maybe you forgot what we were talking about in class, maybe your connection was bad and you weren't able to join class today. These videos are something I'm going to do once every week or two for the bigger topics that make sure you guys understand what's going on. All right, so let's go ahead and share my screen and let's do this right here. All right, so let's make myself big so you guys can see me. Ha ha ha. All right, so one thing that I wanted to really make sure everyone understands is that I'm going to be posting these videos in the week 3 material. So this video will be posted right here in week 3. Anytime I'm doing my videos, I'm going to put my teacher videos and Bitmoji notes in the same week. All right. So if I click my Bitmoji notes, I will get these notes here. As we've been doing many times in class, please make sure you're looking at it. One of the reasons I made the notes vertical, so you can do split screen when it is needed. Okay. So if I'm looking at one of these assignments here, and I want to make sure, how do I get started? What is the purpose and what am I trying to accomplish? All right. So I'm going to click the article that I have assigned to you. And this is around intersectionality, around what is intersectionality in general? The post that I give you, the prompt is, should students be taught intersectionality in schools? The first thing we're going to do with this is, number 1, right here, we're going to figure out the claim. We got 1, 2, 3, and 4. First, we're going to do, what is the claim? What is the topic sentence? What are we trying to say? So I'm going to look at the question here and try to re-answer the question, right? So I want to put it in the positive, right? Students should be taught intersectionality in schools to help build the relationship between students and teachers, right? I did not use the word because, however, I have told students, if you are struggling with this process, one way you can write this is kind of restate the premise, right? So students should be taught intersectionality because, and then you can provide the answer here. Now, it's not really proper to write because in your intro, in your first sentence. However, if it's hard for you, you're not exactly sure, I will forgive you. It's fine. Later, we'll get you a little stronger in that skill. Okay, so this is the prompt. This is the prompt I want to argue. Please remember, I have in this situation already finished reading my situation here, reading the article, understanding the article. Now I'm ready to make this argument because, guys, I'm telling you, if you try to read the first section, first paragraph, and then, okay, I'm ready to make my little argument, I will slash it because usually these arguments, they end with the strongest points. So make sure you're finishing the reading. Maybe you don't want to accidentally make the wrong argument. Maybe you do, kind of your decision, okay? So after I finish my prompt, I'm gonna go over here to step 2, all right? Please make sure, as a reminder for claim before I move, please make sure to restate your question. When your audience reads this, they are not gonna read the question prompt and then your essay. They're just gonna start reading your essay. Okay, so you need to make clear in your topic sentence, claim sentence, that you kind of allow the audience to guess what your prompt is. So when I read this, students should be taught intersectionality in schools, I can guess, okay, they're writing something about intersectionality in schools. That is something that I need to make sure that I understand as I'm reading this. Okay, so please make sure you restate the prompt. That is one thing that I have been saying and saying. Maybe some of you do not remember what that means, okay? The next thing I wanna do is I really wanna make sure that I have a good text evidence that supports my claim. So remember, the text evidence needs to support the claim. I cannot say that yes, it should be taught in schools and then find a quote that says the against what my argument is. They need to be paired. I do not care for your claim. If you want to answer yes or no, that's your decision. However, please make sure your quote fits what you're trying to give. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to find. Let's see here. All right, this was a quote that many students use. When they look at her, they see an African-American student who isn't doing well. They'll see typical D-rate superiors nationwide. Awesome. I'm going to push Control C. I've copied it. I'm going to go over here and push paste. There is my quote, okay? Now, when I'm doing my text evidence, I want to make sure to introduce my text evidence. So I'm going to say, according to the news ELA, it's like this, ELA article, comma, open quotes, right? I want to make sure if I do not put quotes, my audience might think that these are my original ideas. These are not my original ideas. I do not want anyone to think that I'm plagiarizing. So by putting the quotes around here, I'm telling the audience, hey, this is not my work. These are someone else's readings, okay? I'm gonna close quotes, put the period, close quotes, open parentheses, put the author's last name. So if I go to the top of the article, I can see the author's by Moneta Bell. All I need is her last name, okay? And I got my quote on page 1, okay? So I'm gonna go back over here to informational text. I'm gonna go Bell, the author's last name, comma, page 1, close parentheses, okay? This is the way I want you to structure your text evidence, because in the future, we're going to have these research papers where you have lots of articles, and maybe some are videos, and maybe some are presentations, and some are readings. Keep the author's last name present to help clarify things when we do the bibliography, because yes, students, we're going to be doing all the fancy research things this year. Okay, so please make sure that yes, this is going to explain the topic sentence. Please remember, right here in the notes, I say very clearly, majority of the time, your text evidence will not 100% answer the claim. Students, my prompt was something that I created. I did not create it from the reading. I asked the question. It is your job to find the answer in the text. There is no 100% match. It's your job to make that argument, okay? So it's not gonna be perfect. You might have to do maybe a little creative connections to make sure it understands, all right? So I have here, there's my example. We're not gonna look at it. Now I'm gonna go over to context, step 3. When I am looking at my context section, I need to remember that my context and claim, they're in the same color for a reason. These two concepts are married. They belong together. When I'm writing my context, I am only going to be focusing on my text evidence. That's the only thing that I want to say and talk about. So if I'm over here, I need to assume, what do I write for context? Ask yourself, what does the audience need to understand to make sense of this quote? What relevant information from the text, maybe your common sense or general knowledge, should the audience understand to completely understand the quote? So I'm going to pretend to misunderstand the quote for effect, right? When they look at her, let's see, let's go over here. The article is referencing a Nicole, and I call let me get it here, a 9th grade student, a 9th grade student who rarely turns in her work, okay? So I'm taking a little bit from the story, okay? I'm taking a little bit from the story, I'm putting in my own words, okay? Because maybe I need to quote right here, relevant information in the text. I also need to explain some of these concepts. So when they look at her, they see an African-American student who isn't doing well. It is common for perceptions of Black people in America to be lazy and unenthusiastic towards learning. Okay, I need to explain to them, why are people looking at her and seeing these students that aren't doing well? Well, there's a whole history of America. There's a whole history of America of these misconceptions, common for misconceptions. Okay. And so these wrong attitudes towards African Americans, right? So I need to educate the audience. Maybe the audience doesn't know that history, okay? They see a typical example of a deep racial disparities that exists within the missing class and dropouts. Most Americans perceive, think of minorities, especially Black Americans, as being the main components of high school dropout rates in the United States. So all I'm doing here is I am explaining to the audience what is going on. I am using a little bit from the text, putting in my own words. I'm using some of my common sense, right? I'm also using some of my general knowledge that the audience should be able to understand. Now that the audience has read this context, they go, oh, I know what is going on here. This makes more sense. Now I understand what they're talking about because I have this context to help me understand. Please be careful not to repeat what the evidence is saying. I know what the evidence is saying. I know how to read. Your audience knows how to read. Please make sure you're giving them additional information. Maybe it's your general knowledge, maybe it's common sense, but make it super clear that the audience is not allowed to misunderstand, okay? And just like, now I'm gonna move over to commentary. So just like evidence and context work partnered together, if you did this happened last year with context, right? I would have a student who would write all the boxes, and then I would say, hey, student, maybe this evidence isn't the best to help your claim. I did this a lot last year. I was like, maybe this evidence isn't the best evidence. Maybe there's better evidence. If you change your text evidence, you have to change the context. You can't just copy and paste it. Remember, these are married. If one part of them change, both of them change. So please remember that, okay? So please, it's really important. Make sure you understand the readings, because so many times what's gonna happen is a kid's gonna come through here, they're gonna say, oh, I kind of know what's going on. They're gonna put their quote, start writing the context, and then in class they'll say, oh, I misunderstood what was happening. Let me try a different text evidence. Okay, then write a new context, start over, because you need to make sure you understand what you're arguing before you start arguing, okay? Oh my gosh, I'm already at 14 minutes. All right, so now commentary. This is a long one today, guys. Now I'm looking at commentary. Commentary is very similar to context, okay? Commentary is very similar to context. When I write my commentary, I need to support the argument of the claim, okay? So just to recap real quick, text evidence supports the claim, context supports evidence, and commentary supports the claim as well, okay? All of these boxes fit together in a really cool way. Okay, so now what I want to do is, the first thing I want to do is I want to restate the general point of your claim. So my general point is to help build the relationship between students and teachers. It is vital to strengthen the relationship between students and teachers to maximize learning potential in the classroom, okay? The first part of the sentence is talking about building the relationship. This time I use the word strengthening the relationship. The point is I'm just reminding the audience what we're talking about, right? Many students need, okay, now what I'm writing is I'm thinking, what additional logic or analogy can I give the audience to bring home my argument? Mr. Matt made you answer the prompt. You didn't really have a choice over this section. You didn't really have choice over this section. This is text evidence. This section depends on what you put here, but you don't have a lot of creative ability. Here is finally your chance in commentary to tell me what you think. Tell me how you know that you're right. Prove your claim is correct. So many students need to attend college to maximize their lifetime earning wages, right? So if you go to college, there's a better chance that you're going to make more money over the length of your life, right? So it's really important to attend college. If students do not have strong relationships with their primary teachers, they will not be able to, they will not have access to maximize their childhood learning, which will later directly inhibit their ability to have high test scores and enter college. So if a student struggles, and I'm basically recapping here, in primary school, there is little chance they will ever gain back this knowledge and attend a strong college. Okay, maybe I want to get rid of this. This is kind of long. Let me look here. Many students need to maximize their lifetime earnings. If a student does not have let's see, I want to get rid of this part here because I don't want to talk about wages. I was just getting started. If students do not have strong relationships with their primary teachers, they will not have access to maximize their childhood learning, which will later directly inhibit their ability to have high test scores to enter college. So if a student struggles in primary school, there's little chance they will ever gain back this knowledge and attend college, okay? Again, I'm repeating the importance of why this should be taught in schools, okay? Now, this is my box. This is a very fancy box. I've been doing this for a long time. Students, if this is challenging to you, we're gonna practice this. Don't worry, no stress, okay? Okay, last thing here is I want to show you how this fits as a body paragraph, okay? Now, this is an essay style type of assignment. Notice how fancy it is. We're probably not going to do much of these outside of essays. So if the reason it is super important to restart the commentary, reminding us of the relationship, is because when it copies and pastes, our commentary is the last thing the audience is going to read. When we end a body paragraph, we want to remind the audience of what we're talking about so they can remember the argument. I promise you, audiences are easy to forget. They start sitting there, they look at their phones. You got to make it clear and you got to keep reminding them. So I'm going to take this in the order that I see here. It is just like drawing a C on my page, right? There's a big C. The first section I copy paste, the second, the third, and the fourth. It looks like this: topic, claim, evidence, context, and commentary. Very nice. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to copy. I'm going to go here, paste. I'm going to go here, copy. I'm going to go here, paste. Here, copy. Here, paste. Here, copy. Here, paste. Bang. That's a big, fancy research type essay paragraph. Okay. The last thing I want you to do is read this paragraph. When you wrote this paragraph, you wrote it in different boxes. The last thing I want you to do now, read the paragraph, see if it makes sense, maybe add a little transition, add something, maybe take something away if you're repeating yourself. But this is what you're going to submit. So the last part is the editing phase. Read it, make sure it's smooth, make sure it's clear, and then you guys are ready. Okay. This is a long overview of the boxes. Hopefully, I gave you all the little bitty details here. Maybe you heard it in class and that was just oh yeah, I remember. Maybe this is the first time you're hearing this. My advice, please go through the notes slowly. These notes are designed to be very thorough from the start. I try really hard to make sure all the details are in here. So if there's something that you're missing, look at the notes, watch the videos, ask me in class, but there's not an excuse not to figure this out. I'm trying to give you every piece of access that I have so you guys can succeed. Thank you so much. Adios. I'll see y'all later. Bye. Kill this and bye.